But I'm curious to hear from each of you, and maybe we'll start with Jacob and just kind of move down the panel. What is your favorite use case of blockchain or AI or decentralized technologies?
Well, I'd say the use case I'm most proud of being able to work on is the work that we do to promote civil liberties at the Filecoin Foundation. It's always been a kind of a guiding principle of the foundation. Our mission statement is to store humanity's most important data, and what we mean by that is the data that not only is like valuable to people for your commercial use or even maybe your personal use, but it is valuable to society at large. So, for example, we on the network there's stored the USC Shoah Foundation's archive of Holocaust and other genocide testimonies. Especially now that we see people, so for the Holocaust specifically, people aging and not being able to give those sort of testimonies anymore. It's really important to preserve for prosperity. We've also worked with an organization called the Starling Lab to collect video and photographic evidence of war crimes in Syria and Ukraine. The unique nature of the blockchain system is that it includes an inherent provenance layer, so that no one can go and can object to and say this isn't real. So all the metadata from all the documentary evidence that's collected is stored and can be cryptographically verified. And so I know in Ukraine specifically, I know the evidence that was taken in 2021 was sent in as a dossier to the International Criminal Court. And so it's projects like that I think are what make me most proud to work in this space. I think it's really easy to, when you think of blockchain, just talk about like efficiencies in financial markets or other sort of topics that can be more, I guess, easily monetized. But I think at the foundation, like we think that the most important thing that we have is our data, who we are as people. And that's what needs to be stored for posterity.
Great. Thanks, Stephanie.
So, the question was obviously your favorite use case of blockchain and AI. With everything going on right now in technology, you can build the greatest solution, you can have the greatest technology, but you need the people, right? You need a community who are actually using this. And so my favorite use case and example is when we came together as a group in New York City and we formed the New York Circular City Initiative. It was with companies like H&M, Unilever, Cisco, Goldman Sachs, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, New York City government. And we wrote a white paper. We spent years doing it. It is available now on circularnyc.org. And the whole point of the paper was to show how many good jobs could be created and how much money, water, chemicals, carbon emissions, and waste could be saved by New York City going circular in the coming years. And it had great use cases about leveraging blockchain and AI in order to deliver those results in real tangible companies that could help solve this problem. And in addition to just writing this paper, all the companies who signed made commitments to actually start to adopt these solutions and to achieve certain metrics. And so I really like that example because although at its core, it's about companies and the city adopting technology to drive certain solutions, at the end of the day, it was about measuring good job creation and how much waste, water, chemicals, and carbon could be saved and making real commitments. And so I think we need more of that kind of consortium level, community level thinking across sectors, across corporate types like you have here to really drive the change that we all want to see.
And Stephanie, for people who may not know, can you explain what it means to go circular?
No, man, that's a whole conversation. But at its core, the principle is that the longer you can keep resources in circulation in a supply chain and not let them end up wasted, burned, buried, or landfilled, the more value can be created out of it. And so, it touches all different kinds of resources and materials, but it's about keeping things in circulation longer, deriving more value out of it economically, environmentally, and socially. And so, New York City government has made big commitments and big work to do that. There's a lot of big companies there, a lot of big waste there, and they really want to measure and report the impact. But now the companies are adopting it and growing.
Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, AJ.
My favorite application of AI or blockchain. Have you guys ever been in a Waymo? Yeah, I only have during my trips to San Francisco. The ones in Baltimore are just kind of puttering around the city, trying to learn the potholes. Good luck to them. But no, seriously, I think, we're really excited about some of the AI tooling that we're building around supporting consumers who need to improve their credit scores to become mortgage ready and become homeowners. And I'm excited about that for a couple of reasons. First, I think it is an appropriate use of this technology because if you look at a credit report, it's, if you sort of peel back all of the fine print and everything, it's essentially a structured data set. And credit scores are, mathematical formulas. And so these are things that, all of the robots can understand pretty well and give you reasonable support as long as you constrain them with reference materials to understand, this is what you should do in scenario A if you need to improve your credit score because you forgot to pay your credit card bill, right? So that's reason number one I'm excited about it is because I think it will work. The second reason is because of the stakes. So there are hundreds of thousands of people in the United States who the only thing standing between them and a mortgage and the market where they live is like 30 points on their credit score. And if they just have time to get the right advice, oftentimes 3 months later, they can make that jump and just enjoy a wildly different trajectory for their family. And not only their family, but their children's families. And so I think it's one of those rare examples of like, gosh, if we just tweak this one thing, and I think that we got the right tool to do it in AI, it could be tremendously impactful for how folks have access to homeownership and wealth in this country.
That's really exciting. Are there others doing that? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but are you one of the only nonprofits doing this work with AI?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there are nonprofits who are starting to dabble with AI, although I think some of the fears that I mentioned earlier are holding folks back. And I think one of the most interesting questions of our day in the nonprofit space is how much are we willing to sort of unleash the AI versus keeping the humans in the loop, right? Because the problem that I work on fundamentally is there aren't enough humans to deliver the service that folks need to make the financial journey that they need to make. And so certainly we can augment those human beings, but that again, we'll just push the problem down the road once we run out of space on the efficiency of augmenting someone. At some point, if you can find a problem that is actually a reasonable use case for technology to function independently, that is where I think you will see impact at a real scale that can move, the sort of the experience of not just individuals, but entire communities and political power in the United States. But I'm not saying that AI is definitely going to be an independent financial coach for credit reports, and there's some validation needs to happen before then. I think we just have a responsibility to try it and experiment and see if it could, because there are so many people who need the support out there today.
Great, that's great. Ben.
Yeah, that's great. I just want to say I love that work. Yeah, I think my favorite use cases involve the leverage of the technology to end toil and give us more free time and less work. And so right now I have a bot on my phone right now. It interviewed me about my worldview, and now it's placing trades, 25 different theses of trades right now, and reporting back every hour for me how they're going. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just hopefully making money. We'll see. But my favorite use case is this concept of data as an instrument of value. And so, right now our data is harvested and we don't get a dividend from that. and we should. So personal data markets, local data markets, municipal data markets, group data markets, just like investment clubs, right? We should be able to harvest our data as a group and sell it on the market. Blockchain allows it, and AI could do the trading for us, acting as sort of real-time. In ad tech, they have real-time bidding interfaces, which is basically when you open your laptop, when the banner pops up, in that microsecond, there's an Android in there doing an auction for your attention. I got a professor, travels, goes to dinner 3 times a week, going once, 2 cents, McDonald's, 2 cents, can I get 20, can I get 2 or 3 cents? You know, sold KFC for 3.5 cents, and you see the banner, right? So, but we don't get that value. You just get the advertisement. But what if we could just harvest our value together and, you know, leverage that money to become sort of a new MBS, mortgage-backed security, securitized payment flows, could really harvest tremendous value and get dividends and not have to work. So that's my favorite use case.
That's great. Now we'll have our 4-day work week. Yeah, 3 days. I actually get asked a little bit sometimes about like what's happening on the ground in San Francisco. And so I thought I might share a case I recently heard about when it's kind of along the lines of favorite use case. But there's an attorney whose name is Ryan David Williams, and he is on our advisory board. And he does very frontier AI and blockchain legal counseling, right? And he told me about a case that I have not been able to get out of my head that I thought people in DC should know about. A client called him a couple of months ago and said, I have a question because I'm afraid I might have violated securities laws. And he said, okay, well, tell me what happened. And he said, an AI agent tricked my AI agent into issuing a crypto coin while I was asleep last night. And I woke up and there were $40,000 in my wallet. Am I liable? And the lawyer was like, I don't know. I don't know. Because if you're liable if you're asleep, right? How could that be? And so so those are some of the like the frontline stuff that's going on in San Francisco that may not have hit DC yet. But I will say that I think that we don't know yet. I love these use cases that you folks did, because I think one of the big things people ask is, it's great to talk about social good, but give me a reason, give me a something I can kind of like hang my hat on. And each of you has done that for us now. So thank you so much for that. By the way, the client decided not to pursue the case because he got afraid that it was going to cost more than $40,000 to get it back.